Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another live episode with Weiss, the channel where we share information about work and life, not just myself, but special guests. It's really exciting. We have a great lineup coming up in the next couple of weeks of sharing all sorts of different information. If you are interested in joining the live discussion, shoot me a direct message. Either through any one of my social networks or add something into the comments. I'll reach out to you. We could talk about your topic and what you want to bring to the table for everybody that's watching. Today's session, no exception. We've got a very, very special guest joining us who, let's just face it, is out in the field working with sellers on a regular basis, but has come across greater pains within selling organizations, not just with sellers, but the people that are leading sellers on a regular basis. So without further ado, I want to bring into the show the one, the only, Scott Wain. Scott, welcome aboard, brother.
Hey, Matt. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me, brother. Appreciate it.
So, Scott, I know we've had a couple discussions previously, and this is a topic that is absolutely one of my favorites because it's the cycle of work, and part of it's the cycle of life too. And it's a age-old question that you see on any professional site on a regular basis, like LinkedIn, which is really understanding leadership and managers. So, Scott, why are we talking about this today?
Well, I mean, it's something I'm passionate about. I think leaders are learners. Learners are leaders are readers, right? So I'm a lifelong learner. There are an immense amount of incredible leaders out there. So any piece that I can learn and take away from them is fantastic. But unfortunately, I think the reason we're here today and what we're hoping to talk about is how many folks who earn a position in leadership, who are promoted to a manager, were often very good at their job. In fact, many of them are high performers, if not top performers.
Right.
But what we realize is once we get into that role and we have that manager title, our role is not the same any longer. We're not now in charge of the results. We're in charge of the people who are in charge of the results. And this is where leadership is very different than management. And I think we can all do a little bit of a better job of leading our team to the promised land.
I totally agree. I think especially in selling culture, and it happens with any part of the organization, I truly believe, especially when it comes to high performance and then the business seeing a need of like, wow, you can really take our business to the next level and the people that are around you. But there's always something that's missing there. And it's true, right? You're there to read people. You're there to understand people. You're there to drive something to these people to succeed because you have to take care of them. They're your people, right? You've got to do something about it. And there's something interesting there without a doubt.
Yeah. And you nailed it. It is about your people. And, and again, when we take somebody who's been a high performer in a specific role, whether that's selling lots of cars in the retail automotive world, and you put them in that position now, all of their skills, all of their experience, all of their success is behind them because their role is completely changed. And unfortunately, in many, many cases, we can send our managers who we expect to be leaders to an offsite. We can hold hands and sing Kumbaya for a day or two. But that doesn't mean we come back to our workplace the next day and all of a sudden we're a leader. It's a continuous growth opportunity for anyone in leadership to continue to refine and hone in their craft. But it does start with those people. And a big part of it is actually caring about the people that are in your charge.
That sense of, we had a previous session, so if you all didn't get to check it out, Link and I talked about emotional intelligence, that EQ, that IQ, right? There's a difference there, and that caring piece, that empathy, when you're leading, right? you're not just, you don't care about yourself anymore. Now you've got to care about the people around you. But that requires not just a high level of IQ and EQ of yourself. Now you've got to expand and go outside that box and look at it in a different perspective.
100%. And having the awareness that, again, now in that management role as a leader, we're no longer responsible for the results. As I've said, we're responsible for the people who are responsible for the results. So if we're not taking the time to show empathy and to understand who our people are, because everyone's different, everyone's unique, then we're missing the boat. And I think one of the challenges in the automotive biz is we expect not only our managers but our people on the floor to just do it, and we tend to give up on our people pretty quickly. And unfortunately, in most cases, it's not even their fault, right? How many people do you know who are like, oh, millennials, these millennials,
So
right?
many,
right? They want to make an impact, right? We can't motivate them by money. The old school car biz, like you dangle a couple dollar bills in front, and it was like a piranha on a prey, but they say, we can't motivate millennials with money. Well, it's not that they're not motivated by money, but they're looking for a just cause. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. So as leaders, it's our responsibility to articulate what is our mission and vision. What's our North Star? What's our just cause? What is it we're doing when we come to work today? Are we here for a paycheck? Because if we're just here for a paycheck, we're going to lose people to another gig that draws them over, because maybe there's something that's bigger than themselves that they can contribute to on an ongoing daily basis. And the organizations who have leaders who continuously articulate their just cause, their future state, that may not even be achievable. It might be so out of reach that it's not even in this atmosphere. But that's okay, because if we're striving for something so great and we're trying to do something beyond ourselves, and we can get people united to join in on that mission, then now we're not there for the paycheck anymore. And now, instead of, there's a difference between pressure that creates stress and pressure that creates passion. When you're doing something you love and you're under pressure to perform, that's called passion. But when there's pressure to perform and you're miserable, that's called stress. Okay. So can we unite our people? Can we articulate a just cause, a future state, a vision of the future? I've got a customer on their boardroom. They've got a statement in beautifully raised chrome letters. It says, creating extraordinary customer experiences every day. Now, when I go in there and I quiz the people, and they're getting much better because they know I'm going to ask them the question. But when I first asked that question, is what's your mission? What's your vision? What do you guys have? Not one of them could articulate that statement that's on the wall in their boardroom. Not one.
Wow.
So I took it upon myself as a trainer. Okay, listen, now we're going to talk about this. We're going to articulate this mission, because if we can go to work every day and we can make every decision through that filter, through that lens of creating extraordinary customer experiences every day, all of a sudden we're onto something. And now, as leaders, we can help our people achieve that, and we can demonstrate what it takes to make that happen.
I think demonstrating is one of the big things in that cycle of leadership, right? As a leader, as a manager, right? It doesn't matter the title, you have people around you, right? You have this big mission, right? Everyone's looking at it. And it's like, okay, we're doing it. But I think you nailed something that was super important, which is you got to take action, right? You got to demonstrate that as a leader, because if you see it on the wall and you've created it, but you don't do anything about it, I look at it as, you don't believe in that. That's just BS on the wall now. And it doesn't have any personal effect. You actually have to live it and breathe it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? By demonstrating that, and again, sometimes it's a lonely fight. And listen, all of this is so much easier said than done, right? Leadership is messy. It's complicated. It's challenging. All of this, for me to come in here and say, oh, it's all sunshine and rainbows and lollipops. That's not always the case. Shit gets real in a hurry. But if we're centered, if we can come back and we can remind ourselves, what is it we're doing here? Why are we here? right? And we can continue to articulate that. Now we're starting to build a team of people who are articulating that. And guess the magic of this is when everybody's singing from the same song sheet. When customers walk into your place of business, they feel it. They know everybody loves their job. It's contagious. And guess what? Things get easier. It truly does. And at that point, when people love their job and they love coming to work and they feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves, they don't leave for another job that pays a couple bucks an hour more. They stay put, right? Because they feel like they're contributing to something greater than themselves. So that, I think, is a key starting point for leadership, is to identify what it is we're doing here and get people to rally around that, and then demonstrate it by getting off your arse, right? Getting out of your chair, right? Quick story.
Please.
I was looking to I drive, I just actually sold it, but an F-150, and I was actually doing some secret shopping at a Ford store. I won't name the store. Ford is a little wacky in the sense in lease retention. My early slinging days was in a Honda store, and if somebody came in with a lease from another Honda store, we could get the buyout. We could make a deal, no problem. So it was a little unique for me to go into a Ford store. When I asked them about the new F-150, I figured I might be in a position of equity because, the Lariats hold their value quite well. And I was 2 years into my 3-year lease. And he goes, "Oh, did you lease it here?" I said, No, I didn't. "Oh, all right. Well, there's nothing we can do for you today." Okay, sorry, what? "If I wanted to lease a truck today, there's nothing you can do for me." "Nope, nothing you can do for me." I said, "Oh, well, that just seems crazy. Like, what if I legit wanted to buy a truck today?" It's like, "Sorry, here, watch, follow me. Come here. Okay. He walks me over to the sales manager's office, pokes his head in, and he goes, "Hey, boss, Scotty here. He leased his F-150 from another Ford store." "Oh, yeah, there's nothing we can do for you. Just get that paperwork. If you bring it back here, we can probably help you out." Turns back into his chair, back on his computer. So, as a secret shop experience, my mind goes, this is how they're operating. And, although there is a roadblock and a hurdle in getting me out of my lease if I've leased it from another dealership, I get that. But to completely give up on the opportunity and not try to build any value and try to get to know me as a customer is a massive gap in training. And then the manager didn't get out of his chair, didn't shake my hand, barely even said hello. It was a glance over the shoulder. And, unfortunately, that's the type of leadership that they had in that store. And that's not inspiring anything from anybody to do anything great, to take the time. So, getting out of your chair, being out in the showroom. Again, if you were promoted into that role and you were a high performer, it was because you did that job very well. And this doesn't even have to be the car business, right? So as a new manager, as a new leader, get out and demonstrate what it was that you did that got you into the chair that you're in. Mix it up. Get in the showroom. Greet somebody at the door. How much nicer of an experience if a manager greets that customer, welcomes them, sets the expectation of what that visit should look like, and then makes a nice warm introduction to one of their representatives.
Right.
Not bad. And then later in the process, check in. "Hey, Matt, how you doing? Everything going good? Scotty taking care of you?" "I hope so, Scotty. Taking care of Matt?" Like, that's just such a different experience. And I think that's, something that we could all do a little bit more of.
I think it's you lead by demonstration is super important. I see it even from and when we talk about leadership, leadership in my perspective, just to crack it a little bit, there is a difference between leading and managing. And the old question is, should you be a leader or should you be a manager? You need both. First of all, you need to be able to manage, which is like the actual calculation of what's going on, the actual process of doing things. But at the same time, you need to be able to lead and inspire. There's a lot of EQ that's involved with that. I've always said that leadership, people want to follow you into battle, whereas a manager, they have to follow you into battle. Why can't you have both? That way you show that you are someone who you can report to, that you can have people report to, but at the same time you can inspire. And I think that demonstration really manages both, right? Because I think if I were to put myself into that position, I would have stood up out of my chair, had a conversation with you, Scott. I would have said, I would have had some sort of interaction that didn't just end as a result of that was a terrible experience, because that's what it's going to end up being. Whereas I could have reversed and said, what can we do that's different? But keep that sales rep with me and say, it unbespoke, watch me, watch as I interact. Let's change the scenario because we still want their business. But at the same time, we need to see how we can do this so that we may not be able to solve it. That hurdle's there, but they could walk away and either say, wow, that was a terrible experience. Or they could say, that wasn't the experience I was expecting, but at least they tried to take care of me the best I could. And I would probably go back and do exactly what they were asking for, because I know for you, you're probably going to go back to your same dealership and probably just do a trade there.
Well, actually, that's a whole nother story, because that's a whole nother story. I wasn't real happy with the service that I was getting from them, but we don't need to dive in there today. But it's just an example of, and then this is me now. I'm a car guy. I started slinging in 2002. Being in the training world, you look at it through that lens, and it's easy to go in and pick somebody apart and point out all the things that they're doing wrong. But, again, outside of that, when I go into a store, there is a list of things that I can identify pretty quick that we can improve on. Mm-hmm. But I'm also very conscious and aware that it's important for me to point out the things that they're doing well and the things that they're doing right. And the pieces of what goes on in those stores that are actually great. Right. And that's I think another key differentiator, but besides a manager and a leader, is sometimes a manager will pull you into the office. Maybe I'm struggling, I'm not performing at my expectation. I'm in a bit of a slump, right? I just can't seem to get it going. Sometimes I'll need a chat. Sometimes you need a kick in the ass. Sometimes you need a big hug. Right. So as a leader, versus a manager will come and say, Scotty, what's going on? You're shitting the bed. Like, pick up your socks. If you can't, and now I'm on a performance improvement plan. If you can't hit these numbers, if you can't hit these targets, I can't say for sure what your future will look like. Right. What a motivating call. I am just so fired up now. I can't wait to go back into the mix and tackle my day. Right. So motivating. Or how about, Scotty, seeing you've been struggling a little bit, not quite yourself. Is everything okay? You doing all right?
I love the tone change.
I'm telling you. Now, all of a sudden I realize, well, you know what? Going through some tough times at home. This is going on. That's going on. Right. Not to mention we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're locked down. The one thing we've always had as humans when shit gets real is we connect. We connect with the people close to us to help us, right? Now we can't even do that. We're locked down, right? So people are dealing with some stuff out there these days. So if we can approach it with some empathy and some compassion before we give them the shit, right? Because they still need to perform. It's not all hugs and, like I said, rainbows and lollipops. They still need to get the job done. But I think coming at it with some empathy, some compassion, genuinely showing that you give a shit, will I think make a big difference. And then ultimately at that point, maybe they are motivated to dig in. Now they're not afraid of getting their asses handed to them because you've connected with them and you understand and respect the fact that they're going through some stuff, and you come up with a strategy together to kind of get them out of that funk and march forward. I think we give up on our people too easily. I see it on LinkedIn all the time, conversations all the time. It's really hard to find good people. Can't find good people anymore. Well,
that's crazy.
Quick story. I'm a big Simon Sinek fan. So a lot of my leadership philosophy comes from some of his work. And there's a story he shares when he was at the Four Seasons in Vegas. And there's a barista serving him a coffee named Noah. And Noah's very energetic, happy-go-lucky guy. And Simon asked him, he's like, Noah, like, do you like your job? And without hesitation, Noah responds with, I love my job. And in Simon's line of work, that's pretty profound. So he's like, oh, what do you love about your job? And he begins to tell him that, I get to be myself when I come to work. And anytime a manager walks by, doesn't have to be my manager, any manager, they ask me how I'm doing, and is there anything that they can do to help make my life easier? So I get to be myself, and the people around me want the best for me, and they're willing to roll up their sleeves and help me when I need it. I love my job. He goes, but Simon, I also work at Caesar's Palace. And when I go to work at Caesar's, I put my head down, I fly below the radar. Managers are trying to catch me doing something wrong. I don't get praised for anything that I do right. And I just put my head down and I fly below the radar. Same human, two different environments, two different cultures. So, of course, at Four Seasons, they have no issues getting good people. But at Caesars, they're probably the management over there, these dang millennials, right? Like, so hard to get good people. But it's the same dude in two different environments. So
right.
Let's look in the mirror, right? What does our environment look like? What's our culture like? Are people worried about getting fired? Worried about admitting they made a mistake, putting their hand up and saying, I actually don't know how to do that. Do you think you could help? Right. But we haven't in so many cases created an environment of safety and trust. Right. So we lie, we hide, and we fake. And that does not produce productivity. And it's definitely not going to get us to a future state that's larger and greater than beyond ourselves. So I think we have to build cultures of safety and trust, which means when somebody makes a mistake, we don't fire them, right? Right. We identify it, we own it, we learn from it, and then hopefully we don't do it again.
I think the environment's so important, and there's something so funny about a safe environment compared to a toxic environment. And I see it a lot with cultures within other businesses as well, where we believe in our culture, we believe in each other and supporting each other. But when it comes to that support, that mechanism, if you dive deeper into it, it's great to say it. And I love how you use the fake mechanism, because a lot of businesses out there do create a safe culture, but there are some that put up a fake front. As an example, my favorite thing on the planet is to hear about open door policies. My door is wide open. Come on in anytime. You can have a conversation with me, and I am willing to listen. Half the time I'm looking around at leadership and managers, those doors are normally closed. And I think more importantly, just because you say it doesn't necessarily mean people are going to do it. You have to give them a purpose of why to actually come in. You got to make it safe. You can't just say, hey, come on in. But if someone's walking in with a sense of fear, that is not the right environment. They shouldn't have to walk in with a sense of fear. They should walk in with a sense of positivity. They should walk in being like, I could talk to whomever it is that has their open door policy and have that great discussion with them about how I feel, how my performance is, what I could do better, asking them for their opinion without fearing the worst.
Yeah. And so I was actually in a clubhouse room last week, and a gal was sharing a story about landing a new gig, new place of business, and the dealer principal had made mention, I've got the open door policy, come on in, let's have a chat. So this gal decided, as a rookie, new in this group, in this environment, took him up on the offer. And of course she's in there, and everyone else is walking by going, what's going on in there, right? Because it's not common. And then when she comes out, her colleagues are like, is everything okay? What? You were just, yeah, well, no, open door policy you mentioned. He's like, oh yeah, but no. So here's this is, and again, is that dealer's issue? Maybe, but are the managers so insecure with themselves, their roles? Are they lying, hiding, and faking? So that the rest of the team feels that if somebody goes above the manager's head to have a chat with the dealer principal and didn't come through that conduit, are they going to get blasted for it? So, the dealer may say he has an open door policy, but the managers may be nipping that in the bud and stopping it from happening because of their own insecurities. Right. So are we secure enough in what we're doing again? And it comes back to that whole environment of safety and trust, right? If you can't allow your people to go talk to the dealer out of insecurity, then we don't trust our team. We don't trust our people. And that's not a very empowering environment. I reflect on, I'm a sports guy. So I use sports analogies all the time.
Got it.
Right. Can you imagine, an elite sports team where a player doesn't have the autonomy to speak to the general manager? Like, no, like that doesn't make sense, right? Or requesting permission from the coach. Do you think I could speak with the GM? Meanwhile, the GM is the one who negotiated your contract, right? These elite teams that perform at a high level consistently, the environment and the culture is tight, and it sprinkles from every aspect of that organization, even through to the guys and gals who are scanning your ticket when we went to sporting events, scanning your ticket at the door. But even those people buy into that entire team and that culture, and they live and breathe, and they could get a job for a similar wage than scanning a ticket at the door, but they want to be part of something bigger, right? They're a part of that team. They might not be on the field or on the coaching staff, but they're part of the mix too. And I think that's the key thing too, is once we understand that everybody on our team has their own individual role, each of which is just as important as the next, regardless of rank and title or compensation, now we can start to trust each other. The environment might be a little bit more safe, and, we're maybe willing to roll up our sleeves and pick up a piece of trash that's laying out front the door.
See, it's like little things like that. And in that environmental perspective, I love this, by the way, that environmental perspective, because creating a safe environment for people and making them a part of it too is super important. People want to be a part of environments like that. Like you said, everybody is a part of the equation to the success of the business. And face it, everybody, this is something super important. I want everyone to take away, without a doubt. The success of a business comes from its people, period. You can't sell. As a football team, let's use sports. The team can only win if the people are there.
Yeah.
You can't make money without all the vendors, all the ticket scanners, without scanning each and individual person. That business needs to continue to grow and expand, and it's about the people. And there is a difference out there. I've heard it before. Data, you got to be a data first company. Data is what can help drive that success for the people within the business. But this people are what are going to make it successful. And leaders themselves, just like that, creating an environment, creating a vision and following and demonstrating it. And I think really, really at large, taking data points, understanding those data points and applying it to your people to show them how to be successful. It's not just looking at their mistakes. It's not just looking at, oh, wow, this percentage is down, we need to lift it. It's, wow, why is it that way? And how do we lift those people a certain way? And by the way, everybody, in the automotive business, Scott and pretty much everyone else that's in it, is one of the most pressured sales business aspects in the world. Period. I've seen so many different sellers out there from different businesses selling cars. I mean, look at the stigma today. I mean, just people in general look at car salesmen in a particular manner that is totally changed over time, but is the hardest thing. And imagine being a manager in the hardest business of selling in that world, a leader in that world. How do you change it? Sorry, went on a rant there.
Yeah, no, it's all good. And they're as challenging as it is. And the stigma, you mentioned stigma, and I think, in many cases there is a stigma, and because of that, people aren't necessarily super excited when they walk into a showroom. They're not overwhelmed with joy when they open that door. In fact, they're probably in a state of controlled stress. They're probably a little bit anxious, right? And I think that again goes by like based on the culture and the environment. I've been in stores where if I see you talking to my customer, it's almost fighting time, right? That's my customer, right? And listen, whoever's talking to my customer, they might just be saying, hey, who knows? Maybe they have a kid that plays in the same ball team, or maybe they just said hello and thank them for visiting your store. But there's dealerships where that other salesperson sees them greeting or speaking to their customer. Think of and I'm a big energy guy, right?
Yeah.
If you're talking to my customer and I'm fuming inside because I think you're going to try to steal my customer, your customer feels that energy. They feel it, right? What environment you're in, we're all habitual creatures. We're going to feel that energy. Now, on the other hand, if I have no issues and no qualms, and I know you're just a good dude and I trust you because you're my buddy and we're in this fight together and you're talking to my customer, I got no issues. Doesn't even faze me. In fact, now the energy is way different and that customer feels that energy. They understand that we're a team, right? So, and I've seen it both ways. So, the energy that flows through any type of business is heavily dependent on, that environment and culture that we keep circling back to. It's critical.
So in conjunction with that, as you're talking about the people and, the energy and that environment you're creating, I think part of that as a great leader and finding that balance of leading and managing is also, as you're putting this all together, remember everybody, it's just a cycle. I'm also seeing something about empowering your people too. There's something so in particular about great leaders and managers that give that power to the people, right, in the best way. But you can't just empower people without the environment, without the vision and mission. You have to be able, though, to give them their own personal responsibility. You came from a world where you were a high performer and now you're managing teams and you were doing it on your own, but you want to micromanage, you want to do that stuff. Whereas you need to somehow empower your people to success no matter what.
Yeah. And same thing, easier said than done. I am guilty as charged, as somebody who's held different titles and different roles and different leadership and management positions over the years. Sometimes it's just easier to do it yourself. Yeah. And because it's going to get done right, it's going to get done efficiently, there's not going to be any hair on it and any, you just do it yourself. And so, I still need to do better at delegating. I still probably do too many things that I should delegate. But that's the empowering factor when your team can confidently go about their business and know that they're empowered to make a choice and do their best, knowing that if they make a mistake, they're not going to get crushed for it. That's pretty magical. I think that is absolutely outstanding. Unfortunately, and I'm in the car biz, and so we've been talking a little bit about that today. Our people aren't always empowered, right? And you look at our websites, our digital bricks and mortar these days. Any piece of information the customer really wants that's not readily on a website, we're usually hit with a form fill. So even the way in which our businesses are designed, there's so many roadblocks and hurdles that aren't allowing us the opportunity to empower our people. Right? What's my trade worth? Well, got to do an appraisal. Are you going to make a deal today? Right? How are we willing to give some information? Again, the old school way of doing things was always, you're going to hold your cards close to your chest, and I'm going to leverage the information you need for your commitment or your contact info. And that's what we do with form fills, right? Somebody's looking for, you got a button, what's my trade worth? You punch in your year, make, model, mileage, you hit search, Arguably, you would think that the result that comes up on the next window would be the value of your car. But guess what it is? It's a form fill, right? It's now we're holding the information I need leverage as hostage for leverage in exchange for your information, because we believe that the only way we're going to do a deal with that person is if we get their name and email.
Right.
So I think if we can find ways to empower our processes and empower our people, those are the kinds of businesses and organizations that people want to do business with, right? And I think that unfortunately is one of the challenges that we're navigating is giving people the information they want at risk that they may not do business with us. Maybe, just maybe, if we treat them right, we treat them like a human, we show some compassion and some empathy and understanding the position they're in, that they're dealing with some stigmas. Maybe if we surprise them, maybe if we do something just a little bit different to separate ourselves from the competition, maybe they'll actually give us a shot to earn their business if we've given them some information ahead of time before we've collected their contact info. That's just me. I'm a dreamer.
Listen, dreamer means that you're the way in which you paint pictures is very fascinating, and also it's the way in which you can change culture on a regular basis. And for everyone that's watching, we're hitting things from a leadership perspective that we're seeing on a regular basis. It all started with the idea, like all of our leaders, all of our managers that are out there today, and everyone that's watching that is in a leadership position, got to that position simply because they were a high performer, right? And there are some people out there who go to school to, level up even more because they know the construct of managing teams. But most of the time, we're high performers. The business sees potential in you to lead an organization, to lead a team. And what and Scott and I are expressing is that there are traits as an individual where you have to now separate yourself. As soon as you take on this construct of leadership, of managing, you have to separate yourself. It's no longer about you anymore. It is about the people around you, right? Your greatest success right now is making those around you successful. And there are key items that we absolutely need to take, whether if you're leading or managing. Because remember, managing is just that IQ level, that ability to manage the entire org, right? You need to manage time. You need to manage numbers. You need to manage those things. You need to manage positioning. But then also with leading, you have to have some sort of EQ, some emotional impact, something that can create passion. And what we're seeing here for sure, one thing, Scott, right off the bat, is creating that mission and vision, right? That ability to have something of that North Star that everyone goes to. And I think it's so cool, because if we're all going towards the same thing, we're all moving in the right direction. We're not all moving in different directions. And if we're not moving in the right direction as a leader, you need to find out why. Why the hell aren't we moving in the right direction? Because if we aren't, we need to realign and make sure we are. Because if we all go on the same path, we're trying to go up. And up usually indicates we're trying to make more money and make our business successful and make everyone else successful. And we have to follow that all the way through. No doubt.
No, you're right. And I think when our heads are buried in spreadsheets and all we're focused on are numbers and targets, it's easy for us to forget about the human element. That again, this is where we're saying, listen, it's messy. It's not an easy said and done, snap of a finger job to create an organization and a culture and an environment. This can take months and months, years and years in some cases. But I think, at the end of the day, I think for anyone in a leadership position or a management role, I challenge you and I ask you to just reflect and to look in the mirror, and to ask yourself, really, like, are you open to new ideas, right? Are you willing to admit to yourself that there might be a better way of doing things, or a way to improve or enhance on the way you're doing things. So because at the end of the day, some of the best ideas in some of the greatest organizations didn't come from the top, right? But so many organizations believe that that's the way it has to come from. It has to. But again, if your people are empowered and they feel like they belong to something greater than themselves, and they're provided the autonomy to add value to your tribe, then some of those great ideas might come from where you least expect it. But if we're not open and we don't empower our people to give them that autonomy, to feel that they can contribute, then those ideas will go unnoticed, and we'll continue to battle in this, cycle of resistance and lying, hiding, and faking.
I think you put it really well. You can't just bury your head in the papers and in the data and just have that usual construct. I love that challenge. We'll challenge all of you. What is one thing that you could change about how you're leading and managing your business? Throw it into the comments. Send us a direct message to either Scott or myself. Let us know how you're going to challenge yourself on that. And I think when you go back to the papers and putting your head in the papers, and we see a lot of managers doing that, they're managing, right? And maybe they're managing well, right? They're managing the numbers, they're managing performance, they're doing that. But there is a balance that needs to be hit, which is that EQ level. Now, pull yourself out of the papers. Put a little empathy, put a little emotion around it. Understand your people and put your people in front to understand who they are, because now they'll start to believe in you. Not just believe in the numbers, but believe in you and how you're going to help them be successful. And that's by demonstration, like you hit, man. Like demonstrate. You believe in that mission and vision, demonstrate it. Pick up trash if you see it. As small as that. One trainer that I know, Scott, this is really interesting, is that what they do before they do a big event is they put paper all over the floor in the entryway right before everyone comes in. And that person watches everybody walk in and watches the reactions and listens to what they're saying. Oh, no one cleaned up the room before this happened. Oh, God. And this trainer, this facilitator, is waiting for that one person that takes the initiative to just pick it up without complaining and doing it.
It's amazing. It's funny. It's funny story you share that, because when I typically visit a dealership to work for the day, I usually show up early. It's often before the majority of the salespeople are there, and I do a lot walk. I want to see, are the lines straight? Is there pricing visible on the car? Do we have shipping wrap still across all of the cars? Do we are the cars clean? Is there any garbage sprinkled throughout the lot? So I'll often come back into the store for the first time with 2 giant mittfuls of garbage. And and listen, it pays to go clean up garbage around the lot, because I find money. I've found money multiple times where it's literally paid me to do a lot walk. And I don't do that to, again, point anything out, to say, here's what you're doing wrong, but it's not beneath me to go out there and pick up a piece of trash, right? Even in the winter, where, they're like, I've noticed that, like, part of the walkway isn't shoveled. Like, I'll grab a shovel, right? It's not my job. The dealer sure as hell doesn't pay me to come and shovel the walk. But if I walk by it and there's a shovel there and there's some snow, I'll just shovel it over to the side. It takes me 2 seconds. And the great thing is, actually, when you're in a store and you pick up that shovel, you watch the salespeople scramble, right? But then hopefully the next day when I'm gone, hopefully, just maybe, they take some of that initiative upon themselves.
They see it. Maybe the manager saw you doing what you were doing. They're like, give you a compliment. You're not even working there. And all of a sudden, someone might over here be like, I'm going to do that from now on. As soon as I walk in, I'm going to just do that. Make sure I get that compliment. I mean, we should always be, it's a simple reward of just like a positive outlook, right? But, the manager should be demonstrating it too.
Well, and again, if we circle back to the example of that statement on the wall, creating extraordinary customer experiences every day, if that's the filter that we view our day through consistently each and every day, you're not going to walk past that piece of garbage on the lot. In fact, you're going to do an extra good job to make sure that there's no, like when you get home at the end of the day and you park your car in the driveway and there's a piece of trash in your walkway, probably going to pick it up. You're not just going to step over it and walk into your house, right? So again, if we can create that same environment at work where we have that awareness,
Mm-hmm.
and we feel that we are truly part of that greater vision, then we're going to pick up that piece of trash too, without complaining, without any, outward, recognition. We're just going to do it because we know that's the right thing to do. And that's what, again, I think that's when the magic really starts to happen, when people are doing those things, not for recognition, simply because it's in alignment with what their mission and just cause is.
Scott, this has been an amazing conversation. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. And I think it's, as we have new leaders coming about, new managers, I think it's important for them to get what they need to be successful, because it's not easy leading people in an organization. There's a change in mindset that needs to happen. And you definitely hit on the key things. And if you don't mind, hit it with the audience one more time, what those key things are, just from a bullet point perspective of, here's some simple things that you could do to change you and balance your managing and leadership skills and taking them to the next level.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I think a little look in the mirror, a little self-awareness, a little bit of an audit, of the way in which you handle yourself and your team, and really ask yourself, and it's going to be tough, and sometimes it's going to be painful. Am I doing what I can to create the right environment and culture for our people? Right.
Right.
Do I have an environment of safety and trust? And if I do, fantastic. If I don't, what can I do? What are some practical takeaways? Number one, get off your ass, right?
Yes.
Move around, talk to people, have a chat, pick up the phone, send a text, send an email that's not blasting them. Actually, learn their kids' names, right? Ask about their dog, show that you genuinely care, have some empathy, right? And that's the first step, having some empathy. And I think, and again, I think that's probably the easiest place to start. And then, from there, that's just only the beginning. From there, you've got to articulate that mission and that vision. And maybe it's an exercise. If maybe you don't have one, or maybe the one you have is a bit shallow. Maybe it doesn't really drive home the point. Maybe that's an opportunity and an exercise that you can collaborate with your team. There's a good idea. Why don't we coordinate and identify, is this the right mission? If we have a vision statement, right? And I hear, some people like the number one volume, whatever. Well, that's pretty shallow mission and shallow vision. What number one mean? What metrics are we using, right? Today, yesterday, last month, this month? Are we doing volume? Are we doing gross profit? Like, what metrics makes you number one? But that's not going to be the vision that's going to draw people together and kind of on a united front. So maybe you coordinate an exercise together. Maybe you identify what that is together, and then we articulate it daily. And we look through that lens. And this is going to get us off to a good start.
It's amazing how the little tweaks that you can do, everybody, can really change the dynamic of everything here. And Scott, one last thing before I let you shamelessly plug what's going on in your world. One thing is we had a particular user come in and reiterate what you said about, employees feeling safe is so important to create a solid culture. It starts at the leadership level. It starts at that vision that you're creating, and it has to trickle down, and everyone has to believe in it, is the most important thing. And it has to be demonstrated on a regular basis, like you said. So people are resonating with you.
That's good, man. And I'm really glad. And one last piece here.
Sure.
Because I think we focus a lot on the title and the people who are in the roles of leadership and management, but you may not have a leadership title or a leadership or a management role. but that doesn't mean you can't demonstrate the same things we're talking about here, because you might be thinking, Scotty, my boss is as douchey as it gets, right? And he or she can't do no wrong. They know it all. They're not going to be open-minded. There's no way in hell they're going to look in the mirror and admit to themselves that they're part of the challenge. So what you do is you act as if you are a leader and just behave in those ways on your own, regardless of what your title or rank is. And you can influence the behavior and the culture yourself, and find those amongst your team who are willing to roll up their sleeves and think the same way. And you can lead from a position without a title just as easily.
So Scott, in closing remarks, what do you got going on, man? What do you want to let people know about you and what's going on with your business?
Well, with me, my personal life, my wife and I are on day 52 of the 75 hard challenge. So that's no booze. That's 2 45-minute workouts every day. One has to be outside, no cheat meal, stick to the meal plan. I'm intermittent fasting. I'm an 18-hour fast every day. So I only eat two meals a day. I got to read 10 pages from an actual book. Audiobooks don't count. And you got to drink 4 liters of water and take a progress picture. So that's 52 days. We are on the back stretch here. I'm down 20 pounds, feeling stronger than ever, mentally tough, mentally focused. And then by work, my mission is to save the life of car salesperson one day at a time. And we've got a really cool app that we've built that allows salespeople to take daily reps. I believe, unfortunately, in most businesses, we don't practice enough, right? Elite sports teams, football teams practice all week to prepare for one game. Okay.
Right.
Most of the time we're swinging our axe with a dull blade because we're getting pulled in 15 different directions. So we've created an app that allows salespeople to learn in bite-sized pieces, just a couple minutes a day, so that we're taking those daily reps as if we're a professional. And that's the difference between a professional and an amateur is the professionals put in the work behind the scenes when nobody's watching. And our tool does it in a cool, gamified, fun way. And that's the Mark Academy. And we're seeing some great results. Again, I use a dental hygiene analogy. If I brush my teeth today, but I don't do it for the next year, I'm going to lose a few teeth, right? But it's the daily, habitual, consistent nature of brushing my teeth every single day that's going to give me the benefits of dental hygiene. So we believe that those same benefits are available to us if we train every single day, and we're empowered to go attack our day with more confidence. So that's what we're doing by day.
And just to make sure, everybody, if you want to get a hold of Scott by any means, talk about the subject that we talked about today, the business of the Mark Academy, please reach out to him, follow him on LinkedIn, without a doubt. Scott, if you want, you could put your email address into the comments so that people can reach out to you there as well. But really, man, I really appreciate you jumping on. It's absolutely wonderful bringing in this knowledge, bringing in the ideas and philosophies that you follow, because this could change somebody. And that's what Live with Weiss is all about, is giving people the opportunity to listen, hear, and potentially change the journey that they're on. So Scott, thank you so much for joining on the squad, and everyone else who's been watching, thank you very much. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine. Appreciate it.
Cheers, everybody. Have a good one.